Wiggy?
Hi, Alan.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
How was your lesson?
My lessons were great.
Well, that's one of the things I want to talk to you about. But before we get all to that, let's introduce the people that might be tuning in on the Music on the Menu podcast. I've been doing podcasts now for about 3 weeks, talking to people from the Northeast PA music scene about how they're working their way through our COVID-19 crisis that we're going through here, for the past 6 weeks or so in America. On the line with us today is Joe Wegleski. Most people know him as Wiggy, veteran musician from the NEPA music scene. He's performed with bands such as Jugdish and Big King Moose, and also with Tom Flannery. He is a sound engineer at Sound Investment Studios, or SI Studios, in Old Forge. He is also a guitar instructor, and he was the Lifetime Achievement Award winner at the Steamtown Music Awards back in, was that 2018, I believe, Wig? Yeah, 2018. So,
yeah.
So an accomplished musician, a very well-liked guy here in the music scene. He's worked with so many people, hundreds and hundreds of artists making records at SI, and we're happy to have him on the phone today. So welcome, Wig.
Oh, thanks for having me, Alan.
First thing I'd like to do when I've been doing these interviews, and we're going to talk about how all this has affected you in all those ways that you work with music, as a teacher, as an engineer, and as a working musician. But I always kind of like to take the pulse of how everybody's doing to get things started. How are you doing, man? We're 6 weeks into this now, about 45 days approximately. How are you and your family and everybody holding up?
Well, we're surviving. It's like you said, it's unprecedented times. Nobody's ever done anything like this before, and there's all kinds of adjustments that had to be made, but we're all doing okay.
Good.
I've been teaching through FaceTime and Skype and Zoom and all that fun stuff, so it was a work in progress, but we seem to have it down pat now, and we're all doing really well with it, so that's cool.
Well, let's start off with that. We have three things to talk about with you and your music: the teacher, the engineer, producer, and the musician. But you brought up the teaching, so we'll roll with that. Is that something that you had done in the past a little bit? Maybe when you had a student who was sick or something, and or was this all new to you?
What do you mean, the video lessons?
Yeah, Skyping and video.
I've done a few here and there.
Zoom, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, now it's, the cool thing was all my students, except for a few little kids that were learning from little books, they all, were cool with switching over to the video thing, and we have it down to a science now. We're doing really well with it, and the only downfall about it is that we can't jam together because there's a time lapse. So we've been doing assignments where I would give them, something, and they would record it themselves and then play back and then play something on top like that. So we've catered our lessons to that, but it seems to be working out for the better for everybody. So that's cool.
Wait, are you on speaker?
Yeah, is it a pain?
Well, I think that for the podcast, it might pick you up a little bit better if you are on.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm using a feature for those listening too. It's called Tape a Call, and a lot of journalists use it to record phone interviews. And
gotcha.
it serves its purpose okay, certainly when you're going to transcribe things later if you were writing an article. But sometimes the audio could be a little bit light, so yeah, you sound a little bit better now. So
okay, no problem.
So let's get back to that. So do you like doing it that way? I mean, is it it's workable for you? I mean, better than not seeing them at all, right?
Right. I like doing it because I get to keep doing it, and the kids, they don't. Now that school's kicked in for them a little bit now, but for the first couple of weeks they really had nothing going on, so they were all like excited about doing lessons and stuff. So it was like some of them had, so they were into it. So would I rather sit next to them and point there and show them where they have to put their fingers and stuff? Yeah, but for the time being, this is working, and we're moving along with it.
How many students do you have?
Currently, I'm probably around 20.
Okay.
Normally, it's between 20 and 30.
That's a busy schedule, which is that alone.
Yeah, it's cool.
And how are things at SI Studios? I was just there. I guess it was maybe November. I stopped up one night. I was hanging out with Tom for a little while, and I saw you when I got there. Obviously a very respected studio here in the area, a quality studio. You have people there that have been recording all their records there for years, and new artists coming in all the time. We just had Patrick McGlynn on the podcast yesterday. He's talking about how he's finishing up his new record right now with you guys. Have you been able to do anything during the COVID?
Yeah, unfortunately we haven't been because we're not deemed essential. So
yeah,
we had to shut our doors, and we just, like with Pat, we just finished, like, he had all his stuff was recorded. So right at the very end there, I just did some tweaks on some mixes for him.
So you can mix obviously alone in the studio, things like that. But you can't do sessions right now.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, even like the governor's which recommendations was to close. So we did. So, but prior to that, I feel so.
Just kind of coming from the top there when it comes.
Yeah, to he's like, look, you can't do it. All right, well, so we decided not to. But prior to that, our schedule, we were swamped too, and it's unfortunate. We had bands coming from Jersey, Virginia, and they were all like, well, let's put this on hold. So I feel bad for them.
Well, the order is that I think of as tomorrow, and I was talking to Patrick about this yesterday too. I guess you can golf, and so I guess they're basically saying that 4 guys can be around each other for a little while. So, maybe you'll be able to get the studio open pretty soon. It would seem like, that's a pretty intimate workplace usually. It's just a handful of people at a time ever. And so I'm hoping for all my friends that own studios that you could open the doors soon.
Yeah, I hope so. It's the one thing, and I think this goes for all aspects, like teaching, performing, recording. The one thing I do miss is the interaction, musically with other humans. Like I seem to thrive a little bit better when there's somebody else around rather than just kind of sitting here on my couch.
Well, I think, we're at the point now where maybe a little bit, everybody took a little breather. Okay, I got to stay at home. Okay, I really haven't done that since I was 4, so, I'll take a little breather. But, now I think so many people are starting to get a little antsy, with their work and with their friendships, social life, music, obviously, which is, what I'm talking to people about. How about the clubs? Were you obviously you probably lost some shows? You were out there almost every weekend playing, right?
Yeah, we lost some, a couple months worth of gigs. I haven't seen the guys in the band since this whole thing, so we talked via text. That's about it. So yeah, I think we're all a little antsy, a little itchy to get back out there and get doing things. I know my one friend keeps telling me, he's like, man, I don't know, man. I just can't wait to sit in a bar. I just can't wait. So. Oh yeah. I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, the first time that I just go out to eat, and a waiter or waitress, ask me what I'd like to eat, and then they bring me my food. That's going to be amazing. Yeah. I mean, I don't go to a lot of fancy places. I mean, if I go to my favorite, neighborhood joint and they bring me my chicken sandwich, it's going to be the greatest day in a long time. That's what me and Stacey say. We just, we're like, man, we just can't wait to just go sit out on a patio in a bar and have a beer on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you a part of all that stuff? In Scranton, when with the parades, were you in the middle of that? I kind of forgot about that. And then Patrick brought it up yesterday when we were talking. Patrick McGlynn, who I know and you're producing his record. They were supposed to play Parade Day. and they didn't because they chose not to, not because I think the bar canceled them. So kind of interested in Scranton bands that I know, like yourself, and musicians. Were you involved with it?
Well, I had a gig. I was with Tom Flannery, but we weren't playing in Scranton.
Okay.
We were up in Archibald, and at the time it's not a big place. Like the bar isn't that big, so there wasn't a lot of people there. It wasn't like a big 800 people Scranton drunk Irish thing. So it was just like a normal gig. So it wasn't as bad as I think like Pat, like he was expecting.
So you didn't have place. You didn't have to make like that, because that was our last show. Yeah, you take us back to looking back to that now. It seems like longer than 6 weeks ago. It to me it does anyway.
Yeah, it seems like it was forever.
What was going through your mind as somebody that's so involved with 3 jobs, really? Like I said, a teacher, an engineer, a guy that's out there playing gigs, and all of a sudden you could see it all kind of being shipped away from you over the course of that week back in, second week of March or so.
Yeah, it was, it was weird. At first it was like, well, okay, we can't play any gigs. Well, at least we could still work in the studio and I could teach. And then some of the students were like, hey, can we do FaceTime? Because we're not comfortable, coming out. And I was like, okay, yeah. And then the studio closed, and it's like, geez, they're just taking one job away from me at a time. And I was starting to get a little nervous. But, things worked out. Like I'm still able to teach. And, with the studio, I was able to, sign up for unemployment and all that. So that kicked in.
Yeah,
so on that end, I'm keeping my head above water, so that's good.
Has being a musician, and I asked this to a couple of the other musicians that I talked to for these podcasts, helped? I mean, I was talking to Dustin Douglas, and he basically said he's playing more at home. At least you can entertain yourself in some way. You could play some Who songs, right? If something else. Wiggy and I are big Who fans. That's why I mentioned that to the listeners. It's always Pete Townsend, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because Dustin's right. I mean, once this kicked in, and it's funny you said, the Who. I pulled out my ukulele that I haven't touched in years. Started playing that. I did it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, me and Tom did a version of Blue, Red, and Gray. It's on YouTube and stuff. We did like I recorded it. He recorded it. Sent me the video, and I put it together and we put it online. But I just like literally have all my guitars. I have a bass laying around. I just brought everything, put it in the living room, and when you get bored, you just grab one and see what happens.
I find that music has been getting me through this. Maybe I set a couple nights a week aside to spend some time with my tunes. I've been watching stuff on Netflix and Amazon. I watched the Bob Dylan documentary from the '75 tour, and I watched the Linda Ronstadt. I'm going to watch the Springsteen on Broadway. I've had the album for a year now, but I've never watched the video. Have you been watching any music or listening to anything?
I've done a few. I think I did this since we've been locked in. I've done the ZZ Top one. I did the Miles Davis one yesterday.
There's a documentary about ZZ Top?
Yeah, there's one on Netflix, and then the Miles Davis one on Netflix. I think it was originally PBS. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But most of usually I kind of caught up with them all that are on there. So, yeah. But I think the cool thing that we like to do is when all our buddies are live on Facebook when they're doing their little virtual gigs.
That's the next thing I want to talk to you about. You mentioned Tom that did something, and you enjoy doing those?
Well, I haven't done a live one. All my stuff's been pre-recorded because I'm a horrible singer, so I have to kind of play along with people. So, but
the thing you did with Tom, you re-recorded and then
I actually have to do one tomorrow for Tom, and then I did one with Lindsay. She was in our band Jigsaw Johnny, and she has her country band Dallas Carter. We did a little thing together too, so that was cool. Because same with her, she's been itching to go, and she actually wrote like 9 songs. She sends us a song like every other week. So yeah, I think that's more fun, just watching our friends play on Facebook and get that interaction and start busting their chops online and stuff. It's fun.
It's been interesting to see how it's progressed too, rather quickly. Originally, people were doing it from home, and some people still are. And then it kind of got a little more organized, if you notice. Like Carl Hall partnered with Mohegan Sun.
Right.
And they're doing a series, and I think Rick's Farm is now doing a series, and I think Dustin's doing one Thursday night that's affiliated with someone. He's not just doing it at home himself. It's part of something. I think it's from Scranton, and so people are kind of joining forces to help promote them. And I mean, I really think it's amazing how people rather quickly, kind of figured that out. Like, hey, this is a way we could reach people and still have some fun and entertain people.
Yeah, and like you said, the one I'm doing with Tom sent me a song today. Typical Tom Flannery fashion. Here's a song, throw some stuff on there. It's going out Friday.
I'm talking to Tom for one of these podcasts.
That's
next
for one
week.
of those.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's for a First Friday thing or something too. So like that's another, we're going to be part of a group of people or something like that. Yeah,
and I think that's kind of cool. Bring everybody together, promote them together, get it a little organized. Not that you can't just shoot one up yourself too on your own page, but
sure.
I noticed that that's been happening, and kind of a nice way that everybody's kind of coming together on, on all this.
That's the thing about artists. They always, they'll find an outlet. They'll find a way. And it's in their blood. They have to do that, it's hard to explain to somebody that isn't one. Well, you're one, so you know.
Well, I want to talk to you about another topic here, because of all the people that I've talked to about Jerry Hludzik, and since he passed a few weeks ago, I talked to Jimmy Harnon about him, and Bill Kelly, and Richie Kosis, and I believe they were the 3 that knew him, that they were able to offer some insight on spending time and working with him. But I know, because you've told me this in the past, when you were a guest on the radio show, I guess it was, maybe only about a year and a half ago when you won the Lifetime Award, and we had you on for a whole hour. You had some marathon sessions with Jerry.
I did. The whole thing about Jerry, it's a shame. I'm going to miss him so much. But yeah, me and Jerry, we've done a lot of work together, and yeah, we've done some long days and long nights and long weekends, and Jerry was, believe it or not, he was my first solo engineering session. Yes,
you told us that story on the radio show.
Yeah.
But tell it again for folks that may have missed that.
Nothing like, just jumping right into the fire
Thrown
there.
But fire, right.
Yeah. So, Jerry was, at the time, he was working on some country songs. And he wanted to come in and do some guitar parts during the day or something. And Tom was like, well, I have to work, and Jerry's like, well, what about Wiggy? And Tom's like, you up for it? I'm like, yeah, I guess. And that was it. And Jerry had me doing stuff that I probably had no business doing at the time. And that's how it all started. And, 20 some years later, we just worked together all the time. And it was, we were used to each other, so I knew what I had to do to get what I needed out of him, and he knew how far he could push me before I said, no, you're crazy, no, don't do that. So,
well, the last record was 2016 or late 2015.
Right.
He pretty much told me, because Jerry called me up one day in early 2016 and said, hey, I'm going to be in town. I think he said tomorrow, or maybe he gave me a day or two notice. But it wasn't real long notice. But he said, if you want to hang out. And yeah, sure, I'd love to. And so we met up for a beer up at the casino, and that's when I think it was maybe when he gave me that record, the last record, and he told me himself that he really pushed it. Like he was living there, right? I mean,
he was living in Philly at the, he lived, the last couple of years he was, and he
no,
would
I don't
come
mean
up
living there, but I mean like kind of.
He was up here all the time, yeah.
Yeah,
and
late at night, and
that was
really pushed it.
Yeah, that was a cool project too, because like Bill was in Nashville and he'd send his files up, and then we'd have to throw them into the mix and mess around with it. And then Eli was out in L.A. and he was sending stuff, and then when we could get Johnny in to do, so it was always like assembling stuff, putting stuff together, which was kind of like the first time that we've done stuff like that in the past, but not to this degree. And but it all came together real well, and it was a tough record to get done, but we got it done. And it's sorry.
Well, tell me about that little plaque, because when I was up there at SI in November, I hadn't been there in a while, and so Tom kind of gave me the tour, and Tom Borthwick, the owner of the studio, and he kind of showed me what he had changed since I was there last. And he took me to this room that was kind of upstairs, and there was a big mixing console there, and a little plaque with like Jerry's name on it. Basically said that room was named after Jerry, or what?
Yeah, Jerry named the room after himself. Yes, he's like, you need to be, He's like, I've been here so much, I need my own room. I think Jerry slept in that room a couple times.
That's what I was saying when I said he lived there. I mean, I thought he told me he slept there sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure he did, yeah. And I know he slept at the other place a couple times, too, when we were in Scranton. But, Jerry's just, I mean, he was one of our biggest clients and one of our dearest friends. So it just, made perfect sense to name the room after him.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing some of your thoughts on him. Now, I think I covered everything I wanted to talk to you about with music. I wanted to talk to you about, working through it through COVID-19 as a musician, as a teacher, as a producer. Hopefully you'll get back out there in the clubs soon and back down there to help in making people records and, of course, seeing your students in person. But whenever Wig and I see each other, for those listening, we usually talk about music for a while because that's our common thing.
Yeah, music and the Who.
And the Who, and then we slide into football for a few minutes. So I've got to ask you this. You're a Raiders fan.
I am.
How do you feel about them going to Vegas?
Well, I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I mean, you want to be the Oakland Raiders, the good old Raiders from the 70s, the tough guys, but apparently Oakland didn't want them, so they had to go somewhere. And I'm cool with the Vegas Raiders,
Oh, see, I didn't realize that. I mean, I thought it was like a stadium issue or something, and they,
it was like a whole stadium.
I didn't know
trying to get a deal done, and they, the town of Oakland supposedly wasn't interested, or
Okay.
You know how it is with because they want money from the city and they didn't want to invest any money.
They fight over who's going to pay for the stadium, and sometimes the team leaves.
Goofy Mark Davis was like, "Hey, screw you, then we'll just go to." It was either like San Antonio or Vegas, and then Vegas kind of made more sense.
Yeah, I mean they were in L.A. and back to L.A. and then back to Oakland, and now Vegas. So I kind of feel sorry for my Raider fans, because they're good fans and they're loyal fans. Moving around all the time, but I guess for being an East Coast Raider fan, it doesn't matter as much, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, for the, and like the cats out there, I'm sure I'm sure there's going to be a black hole at that stadium, and even when they were like you got the Chargers and the Rams, like whenever we play them, there's more Raiders fans in those stadiums than the Chargers. You know what I mean? So it's fine. I'm sure it's fine over there.
Well, hopefully we'll get a season start at some point. I read something last night where their plan tentatively might be to start it a little bit later, but go the whole 16 games and not miss anything at all. So that's
we'll find out.
Last night,
and maybe by then you guys could get Dak Prescott that contract, right?
Yeah, I'm a Dallas fan for those not listening. For those listening, Yeah, we'll see. I can't talk about Dak that much in a negative way because my son has a shirt and everything. So, but
well, it's like I got a Derek Carr
misses
jersey.
a lot of throws.
Yeah,
So.
I got a Derek Carr jersey, and I was like, please don't get rid of him. I don't want to get another jersey. No.
Wiggy, it's great talking to you. I hope that you get through all this okay, and you and your family. It sounds like you're in good spirits. Me, I just wanted to start touching base with people. My show's been off the air. My show's been off the air for a couple of weeks since the casino closed, and I thought, well, what can I do to support the people that I know and that are out there working hard in music, and give them a little bit of a voice for the podcast, is let everybody know how they're doing. And so, that's really what these podcasts are all about, and to get their thoughts on it, and their different perspectives on it. So I do appreciate you taking some time.
Oh, thanks, Alan. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. This is fun.
You all stocked up with your gin? That's another thing we have in common. You good with gin
right
now?
I'm you're the gin. You're the one that hit the jackpot with the gin there. I'm stuck with beer till.
Okay.
So I'm cool with that. But
all right,
the weather's
buddy.
getting warmer. We'll have to switch to gin soon.
All right. You hang in there, and we'll be in touch. We look forward to seeing you out there and about soon.
You got it, Alan. Be safe.
Thanks, Wig.
All right. Bye-bye.